The elite warriors of World War II, comparing the training and skills of German and American paratroopers. During World War II, paratroopers were among the most elite and highly trained soldiers, tasked with some of the most dangerous and crucial missions of the conflict. Both the German and American forces developed specialized airborne units that played pivotal roles in various campaigns. However, the training, skills, and operational experiences of German paratroopers, Fallschirmjäger, and American paratroopers were shaped by different doctrines, strategies, and wartime circumstances. This analysis delves into the differences in training and skills between these two elite forces, highlighting what set them apart on the battlefield. Origins and doctrine. German paratroopers, known as Fallschirmjäger, were among the first airborne forces to be deployed in large-scale operations. The German military's interest in airborne troops was heavily influenced by the innovative military doctrines developed in the interwar period, particularly by figures like General Kurt Student. The Fallschirmjäger were initially part of the Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, rather than the army, which was unusual compared to other nations. Their role was to conduct surprise assaults deep behind enemy lines, capturing strategic points such as airfields, bridges, and fortifications before the main body of the German army arrived. American paratroopers, on the other hand, emerged later in the war as part of the US Army's broader strategy to develop airborne divisions that could be rapidly deployed to support large-scale offensives. The formation of American airborne units was driven by the need to overcome the heavily fortified positions of Axis powers and to conduct operations that required rapid deployment and mobility. The US Army Airborne Command was established in 1942, and American paratroopers quickly became a crucial component of Allied operations, particularly in the European theater. Training regimens. The training regimens for German and American paratroopers were both rigorous, reflecting the demanding nature of airborne operations, but they differed in several key aspects. German Fallschirmjäger. Training. The training of German Fallschirmjäger was intense and focused heavily on physical endurance, combat skills, and the psychological toughness required for their high-risk missions. Recruits underwent grueling physical conditioning, including long marches, obstacle courses, and hand-to-hand combat training. They were also trained in the use of a wide range of weapons, from rifles and machine guns to grenades and explosives, reflecting their role in capturing and holding key objectives. One of the distinctive features of German paratrooper training was the emphasis on vertical assault techniques. Fallschirmjäger were trained to jump from relatively low altitudes, often from as low as 120 meters, about 400 feet, which reduced their exposure to enemy fire during descent, but required a high level of precision and control. German paratroopers typically jumped with only a pistol and small equipment, with heavier weapons and gear dropped separately in containers. This meant that they needed to quickly regroup and retrieve their equipment after landing, adding to the complexity of their operations. The German training also included extensive instruction in airborne tactics and the coordination required for complex operations, such as the famous assault on the Belgian fortress of Eben-Emmel in May 1940. This operation demonstrated the effectiveness of German airborne forces, who used gliders to silently approach and neutralize the fortress's defenses in a matter of hours, a testament to their training and tactical innovation. American paratrooper training. American paratroopers underwent a similarly rigorous training process, but with some notable differences in focus and methodology. The US Army's airborne training emphasized not only physical conditioning and combat skills, but also a strong esprit de corps, building a sense of camaraderie and unit cohesion that would be crucial during combat. The training began with basic infantry training, followed by airborne-specific instruction. American paratroopers were trained to jump from higher altitudes, typically around 300 meters, about 1,000 feet, which allowed for a more controlled descent and easier assembly after landing. Unlike their German counterparts, American paratroopers typically jumped with more equipment, including rifles and machine guns, enabling them to engage the enemy immediately upon landing. A significant part of American paratrooper training involved preparing for large-scale coordinated operations, such as the D-Day landings. This included practicing mass jumps, navigating to assembly points, and executing complex missions under combat conditions. American paratroopers were also trained in demolition, reconnaissance, and small unit tactics, reflecting their versatile role in the broader Allied strategy. The US Army placed a strong emphasis on mental toughness and adaptability, recognizing that paratroopers would often find themselves isolated behind enemy lines and needed to be able to operate independently. The rigorous selection process, combined with the demanding training, ensured that only the most capable and resilient soldiers became paratroopers. Combat experience and tactical differences. The combat experience of German and American paratroopers also highlighted significant differences in their roles, tactics, and effectiveness. German Fallschirmjäger in combat. German Fallschirmjäger first saw large-scale action during the invasion of Norway and the Netherlands in 1940. Where they played a crucial role in securing strategic objectives. However, their most famous operation was the invasion of Crete in May 1941, codenamed Operation Mercury. This was the first major airborne invasion in history, and it demonstrated both the strengths and vulnerabilities of the Fallschirmjäger. During Operation Mercury, the Fallschirmjäger successfully captured key airfields and positions on Crete, but they suffered heavy casualties due to their scattered landings and the strong resistance from British and Greek forces. The high losses experienced during this operation led Hitler to limit the use of large-scale airborne operations for the remainder of the war, relegating the Fallschirmjäger to more traditional infantry roles in subsequent campaigns. Despite this, German paratroopers continued to demonstrate their effectiveness in various theaters, particularly on the Eastern Front and in Italy. Their ability to execute surprise assaults, combined with their elite training, made them formidable opponents in defensive operations, such as the defense of Monte Cassino in 1944. However, as the war dragged on, the Fallschirmjäger, like much of the German military, faced diminishing resources and manpower, which impacted their effectiveness. American paratroopers in combat. American paratroopers first saw significant action in North Africa and Sicily, but it was during the Normandy invasion on D-Day, June 6, 1944, that they truly made their mark. The airborne operations on D-Day, involving the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, were among the largest and most complex airborne operations in history. American paratroopers were dropped behind enemy lines in the early hours of D-Day to secure key bridges, roads, and towns, disrupting German defenses and paving the way for the main amphibious assault. Despite facing heavy anti-aircraft fire, poor weather, and scattered landings, the American paratroopers managed to achieve many of their objectives, demonstrating their training and resilience. The success of American paratroopers in Normandy was followed by further airborne operations, such as Operation Market Garden in the Netherlands and the Battle of the Bulge in the Ardennes. These operations highlighted the versatility of American airborne forces, who were capable of executing both offensive and defensive missions under extremely challenging conditions. Unlike the German Fallschirmjäger, American paratroopers continued to be used in large-scale airborne operations throughout the war, reflecting the US Army's continued investment in airborne capabilities. The adaptability, morale, and cohesion of American paratroopers were key factors in their success, even when faced with logistical challenges and fierce German resistance. Leadership and morale. Leadership and morale played crucial roles in the effectiveness of both German and American paratroopers, influencing their performance in combat.
Still under heavy fire,
German Fallschirmjäger. The leadership of the Fallschirmjäger was initially strong, with figures like General Kurt Student providing visionary guidance and instilling a high level of discipline and professionalism. The early successes of the Fallschirmjäger in Norway, the Netherlands, and Crete boosted their morale and solidified their reputation as elite troops. However, as the war progressed, the Fallschirmjäger faced increasingly difficult conditions. The shift from airborne operations to more conventional infantry roles, combined with the high casualties suffered in operations like Crete, began to take a toll on morale. The lack of resources, declining quality of recruits, and the overall deterioration of the German war effort further impacted the effectiveness of the Fallschirmjäger. Despite these challenges, the Fallschirmjäger continued to fight tenaciously, often in defensive roles, where their training and discipline allowed them to hold out against overwhelming odds. Their defense of Monte Cassino, for example, was a testament to their resilience and fighting spirit, even in the face of inevitable defeat. American Paratroopers. The leadership within American airborne units was characterized by a strong emphasis on initiative and adaptability. Officers like Major General James Gavin and Colonel Robert Sink were known for their hands-on leadership style, often leading from the front and inspiring their men by example. This leadership style, combined with the rigorous training and strong unit cohesion, contributed to the high morale of American paratroopers. The esprit de corps within American airborne units was further strengthened by the sense of pride that came from being part of an elite force. The 101st Airborne Division's stand at Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge, where they famously refused to surrender despite being surrounded, became emblematic of the determination and resilience of American paratroopers. The ability of American paratroopers to adapt to rapidly changing battlefield conditions, combined with their strong leadership and high morale, made them a formidable force throughout the war. Their successes in Normandy, Market Garden, and the Ardennes underscored the effectiveness of the US Army's airborne doctrine and the capabilities of its paratroopers. Conclusion. The German Fallschirmjäger and American paratroopers were among the most elite and highly trained forces of World War II, each with their own distinct strengths and challenges. German paratroopers, with their early emphasis on surprise and vertical assault, demonstrated remarkable innovation and effectiveness in the early years of the war. However, the high casualties they suffered and the shift to more conventional roles limited their impact in the later stages of the conflict. American paratroopers, by contrast, benefited from a more sustained investment in airborne operations and a training regimen that emphasized adaptability, initiative, and cohesion. Their ability to execute large-scale, complex operations, combined with strong leadership and high morale, ensured their effectiveness throughout the war. While both forces played crucial roles in their respective campaigns, the differences in their training, leadership, and operational experiences highlight the varied approaches to airborne warfare taken by Germany and the United States. The legacy of these paratroopers endures, as their bravery and skill continue to be remembered as some of the most extraordinary contributions to the Allied and Axis efforts during World War II.